You. Well, now we'll go to our first round of questioning, and I'll go to the gentleman from Wisconsin first, Mr. Fitzgerald.
Thank you, Chairman. Mr. Molinar, I think other people continue to believe that more can be done to improve data throughout the music industry, including the public performance rights. It's my understanding that performance and mechanical rights data is typically identical or near identical, I think, which came up in the opening statements. From your perspective, do you think having PRO affiliation included in the MLC database would help companies like Big Machine get accurate payments from the PROs and the MLC, and certainly probably enhance transparency as well?
Thank you, Congressman, for the question. I think to touch on what the MLC is doing right, whereas we can attest, the publishers, as we're entering it in and cleaning up our data, this database is heading towards being the cleanest database that exists. Unfortunately, I think that the complicated landscape of these royalties, especially, I wasn't around for the decision of when a streaming mechanical royalty was decided to be split into a performance and a mechanical, which just makes things all the more difficult and complicated. But I think that is I wish I could answer more to the question of could we get that done? Could it make it? Do I think that we're on the right path at the MLC of creating a pretty authoritative song data because of the way that publishers can interact with their own data and see what is being claimed? Much to Ms. North's comments, the reason she can play whack-a-mole on issues that come up from new songwriters via aggregators is because she can see it, and that we have that ability to act on it.
The transparency.
And the transparency part of this is something that we haven't had, particularly when we were, as I mentioned in my testimony, when you had third-party vendors representing each of the different streaming services. We just didn't have that transparency into it. So, I can't speak to the functions of some of our other organizations, such as PROs. The MLC, by statute, is not allowed to collect performance royalties. So I think we're just concentrated on getting the data right for the purpose that's under the statute.
Very good. Thank you for that. Mr. Aaron, I think we're aware that the different stakeholders may have different interpretations of the statute or regulations, and that at times the MLC has weighed in, obviously, on that. Rather than weigh in on those specific circumstances, has the MLC considered identifying for the Copyright Office that there are stakeholders with differing views and asking the Copyright Office to share its position?
Yes. Thank you for the question.
Your mic.
Thank you, Mr. Fitzgerald, for the question. We speak regularly with the Copyright Office, and we talk with them about the operational challenges we face and the issues that we see and hear from our members. The terminations issue is a great example. The MLC raised that issue in regulatory proceedings the Copyright Office held in 2019 and 20, and we pointed out that we did not see that issue addressed by the MMA and that there was not a clear answer on the law. And we asked the Copyright Office to weigh in on that issue at the time. They declined to do so. We then sought a rule that would give us a data point that we could use to implement the policy we ultimately did. So I think we do try to flag issues for the office, and we welcome their guidance where they're willing to give it. And in the meantime, we try our best to put in place operational processes that don't decide questions of legal rights, but simply serve to come up with an operational plan in the interim that will work for our members.
Very good. Thank you. Mr. Tashian, how do record labels compensate their artists, and how does the money flow in and out of what can be seen, like the black box, I think, that we were talking about earlier? Are artists receiving kind of reciprocal increases in their streaming and also in the digital service deals that currently exist?
Thanks for the question. I'm really here as a producer and a songwriter. I am also an artist, but the level of my streaming is not on the level of some of the artists that you might be more interested to see how it has benefited them financially. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, that's where I think what we're trying to establish is just, is the streaming portion of this functioning correctly right now?
I think in some ways, I think, there is that 5-year, 2018 to 22, that I know as a songwriter, I'm still sort of waiting on that, the difference between what the rate was and what it is agreed on now. So, yeah, I'm still waiting on that.
Very good, thank you.
Thank you. The gentleman from Georgia is recognized